Welcome back to News 3 Today. It is Halloween, a time for ghosts and ghouls to wander the streets. While Savannah is known for its apparitions, we have other creatures that go bump in the night. Tour guide and Savannah content creator and teller of all tales, Spooky Enocha Edenfield is here with this month's edition of Historic Happenings. I just threw that last part in there. Thank you so much for being here today.
I'm glad to be here. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. So we always talk about, spooky things around town, but on this day is really important. And we're talking about several things because New Orleans is known for vampires.
Right.
Savannah is mostly known for what?
So I argue that we're more known for zombies.
Okay.
I do get asked a lot on my tours, like, do you have any vampire stories in Savannah? And we have like some vampire adjacent stories, but nothing that's really vampire. Not for lack of trying on some creatives' parts. We don't have the history that New Orleans does, like the Casquette Girls, which lends itself to vampires, but there have been some books here, the Savannah Vampire series that was set in Savannah, obviously. Yeah. Also, First Kill, which was a Netflix show, only lasted for 1 season, but that filmed in Savannah, and it was also set in Savannah.
So some people may remember this because it wasn't that long ago.
Right.
2022?
2022. So there have been some attempts. They just haven't reached like Anne Rice level consciousness here. But I think that we have a closer tie to zombies than we do to vampires because we've actually had quite a few projects here, and we've got a little bit of history here as well.
Yeah, one big project.
Yes.
The Walking Dead.
The Walking Dead. So Fear the Walking Dead, of course, filmed their last season here in Savannah. Coleman Domingo was back in town this week, so that was very exciting. Also, if we're staying within the Walking Dead universe, the Walking Dead had a video game that was set in Savannah.
I had no idea.
Yeah. Also, there was another movie that filmed here in 1980 called City of the Dead or The Gates of Hell. It has alternate titles.
Okay.
But
that sounds really scary.
It does. Also, the poster for it's a little loud. Yeah. I think they're going to put that up in a second. But that was filmed here in Savannah as well. Not set here, but filmed here.
Filmed here. Okay. One movie that was filmed here, you were a part of it. You were actually working here when you did the movie, Abraham Lincoln versus Zombies.
Yes, which was a mockbuster because Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter was coming out the same year. But Abraham Lincoln versus Zombies is actually set in Savannah. They filmed out at Fort Pulaski. They call it Fort Pulaski in the movie. And in the movie, Abraham Lincoln and the Secret Service come to Savannah and fight zombies out at Fort Pulaski and around Savannah.
Yeah, sounds wild. But you kind of joke that this is kind of like a biopic.
I joke that it's a biopic because if you know anything about Robert E. Lee's history, his mother was actually buried alive by accident. She was buried in an above ground mausoleum. Thankfully, somebody heard her and was able to rescue her before she actually died. And Robert E. Lee was born a year after. So I like to joke that he's half zombie, which makes Abraham Lincoln versus Zombies more of a biopic then,
I
right?
guess so. I get it. Okay, so while we're speaking of people being buried, actual cemeteries, you were talking about bodies being moved on their own.
Yes, so we do joke that people move around more after death than they did in life here in Savannah. Noble Jones was buried 3 different times. He's currently in Bonaventure Cemetery. We're pretty sure he's going to stay there. But bodies themselves can actually sort of move themselves. So prior to vaults being widely used, you were buried in a shroud or in a coffin, and those break down over time. Well, our soil content here is incredibly sandy, and it shifts and moves with time, and sometimes it will take things like bones with it. So if you bury great-great-grandma there, come back after 30 years to maybe relocate her to another cemetery, she might not all be there.
Be in that same place. Okay, so we know Halloween is like your biggest time of year, then it kind of slows down, but you have something coming up for the holiday season.
Yes, it's the return of my Victorian Ghost Story tour. The link for that is going live this afternoon, and it's a special group tour that I'm doing where I talk about Savannah's Victorian holiday traditions and some of the ghost stories.
All right, see, just like the rest of them, you are going straight from Halloween to to Christmas. You're just skipping Thanksgiving.
Well, I mean, Halloween is all year in my heart, so.
Yeah, it is. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me back.
All right, and stay with us. You're watching News 3 Today at 11. We'll be right back.